Okay, we're here. By the way, real quick, JJ, I asked and I was told that tonight's meeting will be rescheduled to tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Were you?
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if
fine.
you were told that. That's what they said. Christine's going to send the invite out.
Great.
Sorry, everybody. We're doing a bunch of things. My job is to get all this material out, and I will do that. But we also do a lot of other stuff. Interesting. Um, someone wants me to call him. Okay. Well, we're going to do this first. So we are here doing strategic messaging. This is going to be relatively quick and painless. We did an interview with JJ Ames. You can look at it on the channel, showing why he backs all of this, what his thinking is, and interesting stories, arguments with CIA station chiefs in Afghanistan about the potential for civil war in America, other good tides. We also did a 4-hour policy review, and then we did a messaging review of how to do messaging differently for CalExit. And we now have that out there. You can watch that video. Here's part 2. Now, JJ has 4 decades of experience in the federal government. He's been doing speech writing and other work for FEMA for many years. He's met multiple elected officials, knows DC, knows speech writing, knows marketing. And as I was telling him, when he sent this email list of this material out, I've been waiting for this for a decade. I wanted to talk to somebody with experience in politics who could tell us, how would you actually do the correct messaging for CalExit? So this is a deep dive. Some people are going to be fascinated by this, like me. Others will be whatever. But I didn't want the information to be siloed. I wanted it to be shared widely. I don't think everybody's going to get it or be able to operate on it, but I wanted to be able to provide the information to everyone out there. Anybody can push the CalExit movement. No one owns the name. Everybody could be filing the initiative or calling your legislator or figuring out some other way to make it happen. So I want the information to be ubiquitous, I think is the word. So let's go with this. We'll start here with, okay, comprehensive marketing, PR, and messaging plan for CalExit initiative. The plan outlines a robust strategy for successful qualification past the CalExit ballot initiative with an objective to gather 1.25 million signatures. The campaign will strategically leverage extensive grassroots mobilizations, targeted digital campaigns, traditional media, saturation, and intensive voter engagement. Coalition building, message consistency, and real-time metrics monitoring will ensure maximum voter impact. Launch rallies, simultaneous events in LA, San Francisco, and Sacramento. You want to have press and media outreach, statewide media blitz, TV, radio, podcast, digital marketing setup, interactive campaigns, website, one for signature gathering, one for donations, one for volunteer portals. Establish strong social media presence on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, etc. Advertising initiatives, initial TV, radio ads, statewide billboard ads, signature collection drive, grassroots signature effort, county level and city high-level signature collection operations, digital mobilizations, geo-targeted digital ads, viral short films, direct mail, and SMS signature requirements. There's more to it that we'll get to in just a second, but to break this down for everybody. So what is this saying? And what's roughly the goal here? And roughly, what is the thinking behind this, and what are you telling people to do?
Marcus, initially, the one mistake that so many campaigns make is that they are branded by their opposition before their own campaign begins, and they haven't taken the necessary time to brand themselves. Everything that we're looking at here on the first page and much of the second page is designed to allow this movement to brand itself to the general public before our opposition does. And we can get into that in a little bit greater detail as we go on. But the whole idea of this program, this initial mass media blitz in all media forms, all platforms and venues, as well as face to face. This is designed to get us to a point where the moment that the term CalExit comes out of somebody's mouth, they have a positive view because it's the image that we've created of ourselves, as opposed to someone or some other entity creating that image for us.
So make the narrative for your organization before somebody else does it for you.
Yeah, because if once, and the best example of this was the John Kerry's presidential campaign. By the time John Kerry had his first real media blitz laid out, he was swift-boated and that was who he was for the balance of that campaign. And there was no way that he was going to be able to come back from that. If we inoculate ourselves with our own messaging in advance of any attempt to brand us by the opposition, then the first time that someone hears CalExit, they're thinking about our message and not the opposition. That's the key point.
Okay. All right.
First impressions are lasting impressions in politics, and that's we have to make that first impression before someone makes it for us.
Part 2 is roughly coalition building, strategic outreach to key coalition groups: Latinos, African Americans, Asian, Pacific Islanders, LGBTQ plus, youth, seniors, business, environment, labor, faith, etc. Women. We'll get to that in a second. Tailored events and outreach programs addressed to specific coalition interests. Campaign infrastructure: central headquarters, Los Angeles, Sacramento, San Francisco, regional field offices in a variety of cities around California. Campaign director, have that. Communication specialists have that. Regional organizers, we have people who are willing to do it. Digital strategists, we could use more of that. Volunteer coordinators, we have some of those lined up. Technology and data tools, CRM for targeted voter outreach. Analytics platform for tracking performance and optimizing results. Metrics and evaluation, weekly tracking of signatures, fundraising, digital engagement. That's pretty good. Crisis management, establish a rapid response teams, proactive transparency initiatives, fact-checking protocols. What does this mean, and what is the foci here or focus?
Which specific portion?
Coalition building, and then we'll do campaign infrastructure. What's the thinking with coalition building?
Just look to the 2008 presidential election. I mean, and then look to the 2016 presidential election. Barack Obama was able to put together a broad-based coalition, which included many people who had never supported a Democrat before Barack Obama and haven't supported a Democrat since. The Obama coalition was wildly successful because it was as broad and diverse as it was. Hillary Clinton, some people suggest that the reason Hillary Clinton didn't win in 2016 was that she was unsuccessful in putting back together the Obama coalition. Joe Biden had, again, putting in 2024, putting back together the Obama coalition. I would have said some time ago that a single base could not win a national election, but white Christian nationalists seem to win the 24 election. So, but coalitions are necessary in every successful political campaign, and certainly every successful advocacy campaign as well. So we need to find, and this is where I was saying in the strategic messaging in the last podcast, we need to find single issues that appeal to a broad base of groups. One issue that may appeal to the AAPI community, one issue that may appeal to the African American community, one issue that may appeal to the Latino community. And when all of those people get together and find a thing about us that they feel will enable them to enjoy a better quality of life post-election, then our coalition will be strong and we'll go in, like we're charging up San Juan Hill. In this particular case, coalition building is the most important circumstance that we can address. One of the most important circumstances we can address now, because coalition building will allow you to pick up 20 votes here and 40 votes there and 90 votes over here and 17 there, and those all add up. And if you're in a situation where you think, well, this is going to be a 51-49 situation or a 52-48 situation, all of those individual blocks of votes, the 20 here and the 90 there and the 14 over here, they may be the difference in the end, and it will have been the coalition building that took place long before the first vote was counted that ends up ensuring the success.
Coalition building is the key. Obama showed it well. Some people lost it, other people gained it, and this is how we magnify the vote. To get out there. Campaign infrastructure, metrics of evaluation, and crisis management. Let's do campaign infrastructure and metrics of evaluation. What's the thinking there?
You can't try to either build or rebuild a campaign 100 days before the election. Kamala Harris proved that.
Right.
And so what we need to do is to have the infrastructure in place so that whatever, if we need to modify a plan or amend a plan or introduce a new plan that wasn't discussed early on in the campaign, the infrastructure to implement and execute on those amended plans or those new plans, that has to be in place, because again, you can't be rebuilding the campaign as you go along. It does happen sometimes that campaigns look at what they've done in the first month or two of a campaign and realize that nothing has gone well, and then they need to go back to the drawing board. My preference is always to have A, B, C, D down to letter J plans in place, or at least the infrastructure in place, to where if we need to make a hard right, a hard left, or we need to hit the rocket boosters at some point in time, that we've got the infrastructure in place to do that without having to reinvent the wheel every Monday morning.
Yeah, it was painful to watch Harris try to launch a campaign with minimum time. So what you're saying, get your ducks in order, get your organization together before you launch. I know Dr. X constantly says that. We took 2.5 months to build a corporation, but he said, look, I don't want to go out there until we have everything set up on the back end, because you get people and you have them coming into your store, and then they realize you don't have goods, or you don't have a bathroom, or the light doesn't work. It's all lost. So before you bring them in, have it set up front so they don't run away after you make contact.
Yeah, I would much rather be in the middle of a campaign and have people in place that I didn't need than have people that I needed but couldn't get.
Yep. Rather have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. Yeah. Crisis management, establishment, rapid response teams, proactive transparency initiatives, fact-checking protocols. What does all that mean?
One of the most important aspects of any campaign. One thing that we can be assured of is that the moment that we go out big on this, the number of detractors will multiply exponentially. There may have been 2 or 4 or 10 detractors before we announced, but the minute that we go live here, so to speak, you're going to end up with people coming at you from all sides. So the rapid response team is in place to get out a responsive ad on television or internet or anywhere else, to get that responsive ad out before the original message has a chance to take hold in the hearts and minds of people who would view that. Rapid response is essential. Rapid response also happens when, for example, I worked a campaign where I got a call from a writer, a journalist, at about 2:30 in the morning, was giving me zero time at all to respond to something that they were going to run with the next morning, and the person, the journalist, happened to be in the bar at the time where the candidate was, and where the candidate was making a fool of himself. It was my job as in terms of rapid response at that point to help that journalist understand the wisdom of not running that story, and that's also what a rapid response team is. A crisis management team is responsible for as well. Crisis management, I don't think I've ever been involved in a campaign that didn't need a crisis manager or a crisis management team. It's great if you can get through a campaign and nobody steps on a crack, nobody makes a mistake, nobody eats their pizza with a knife and fork, that kind of thing. But
Yeah. Crises can be anything, like eating a pizza with a knife and fork. It doesn't have to be they found a body in your house.
Exactly. And one thing, sometimes situations that seem like they couldn't possibly have any impact on the outcome of an election at all end up blowing themselves way out of proportion. Why? Because there was no crisis response team, crisis management team and rapid response team in place.
Swift boat vets against Kerry. He ignored that initially instead of tackling it, and it was really stupid and fake, but he didn't address it. And by the time he did, it had already gotten too much. I know with Ed Miliband, I think in UK, was destroyed because he was photographed with a sandwich in his mouth. And that was it. That ruined his campaign. The way he ate a sandwich. And Bill de Blasio, right? I think out of New York City, mayor, ate pizza with a fork and a knife, and then his daughter looked in the camera and goes, I don't know what to say. Yeah.
During the 2016 or 16 or 20, I guess during the 2020 presidential primary, when Amy Klobuchar was slammed over a story that a former aide had told about her eating a salad on an airplane with her comb. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
she never
Yeah.
came back from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meaningless
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But she never came back from that.
Yeah, so you need to have a crisis management tour. By the way, if you want to know a good example of that, there's a Sandra Bullock movie called Our Brand is Crisis. Great movie. It'll show you exactly what's up. Or you can watch all 4 seasons of The West Wing.
And the principal job of the rapid response team and the principal job of the crisis management team is to get the public back on your message, not the one that's been presented to them at that time.
Right. We'll get to that. Okay, now part 3. This is the last part of the strategic overview. Sustained awareness and engagement. Coalition and endorsements, secure endorsements from influencers, civic leaders, respected people, specialized events targeting issue campaigns, ongoing media and PR efforts, regular news releases, editorial placements, opinion pieces, weekly thematic content highlighting healthcare, gun safety, homelessness, and economic growth, or the BAM, the best available messaging. We'll review that again. Intensive general election campaign, advertising and media saturation, statewide TV, radio, digital campaigns, comprehensive outdoor media, voter mobilization, extensive door-to-door canvassing, early voter coordination, public debates and forums, active participation in televised debates, town halls, core messaging themes. Well, actually, let's get to that in a second. Tell me about sustained awareness and engagement and intensive general election campaign. What is that? What's the goal? What are we supposed to be doing?
Any movement, any candidate, any advocacy campaign is only as good as what the general electorate thinks of it today. And those opinions change. It's the reason why when you do tracking polls, when a candidate does a tracking poll or an advocacy campaign does a tracking poll, they can see trends developing. But in complete and total recognition of this provision that we're talking about, it is true that you are only as good as you are perceived to be today. And if you go, it's like if you're a podcaster and you go 5 days without putting a show on the air, you lose half your viewership. And if you're a campaign and you go 5 days without saying something positive about the brand that you've created, you're opening the door for the other side to come in and rebrand you, or at least attempt to rebrand you at that stage of the game. So it's just that putting something, and it can be something as simple as a text message, something as simple as an email or two, something as simple as a surrogate, going out and getting a broad-based podcaster to give them 10 minutes. If you stop talking about yourself, the voter will stop thinking about you.
Okay. Intensive general election, sustained awareness. Okay. Core messaging themes. Universal healthcare, gun safety, safer streets, stronger California, universal healthcare, health for all Californians, care we control. I like that. Ending homelessness, first keys, then opportunity. That's great. Jobs and economy, California jobs, California growth. That's excellent. Communications and media channels, traditional media, digital media, earned media, and PR. That's there. Let me ask you about the core messaging themes. This builds upon the first interview we did about messaging, I think earlier this week. You can go to my channel and you'll see a picture of JJ and it says messaging on top. This one says CalX, it's strategic messaging, but that's the first one. And I think what you told me was BAM, best available message. You want to pick 2 or 3, no more than 4 at all items, and you frame the campaign around those 3 things. And then you put it as, we're for this, and if you're not for that, you're a monster. So example, homelessness and being able to limit the amount of people coming into California, and us therefore being able to provide full services for homelessness never gets better until we're independent. You can never have universal health care unless we're independent. America will never allow it, the pharmaceutical companies, etc. Whereas we know the amount we subsidize America or the amount extra we put in the U.S. military, either of those 2 funding sources could fund universal health care for every Californian without any raise in taxes. Finally, we can go to gun safety. We have mass shootings here. We have gun laws, Ninth Circuit Court, federal court, before Trump and during Trump, doesn't let us have those gun safety laws. And so the way you frame it is, I'm for ending homelessness and helping homeless people have the help they deserve. I'm for making sure every Californian receives insurance coverage. I'm for making sure children aren't shot dead. And if they go, well, what about the water from Colorado River? You go, do you not care that Californians are not going to have health care, that homeless people don't have service, that children are going to be shot? Because that's what I'm talking about. And if you're not talking about that, I'm not interested in whatever you're talking about. And so the difference for me that I learned from you was, instead of having an issue for every policy debate and just debate them straight up, like I'll probably do with that other guy, pick 3 or 4 issues, and you are always attacking and staying on these issues, and you're not really entertaining their issue. You're just always coming back to your issue and an attack. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. The short and sweet, the Reader's Digest version of all of that is essentially that no matter what the other party says, either aggressively or in response to something we have put out, our mode is always to turn that around, go right back to our message, our message, our message, our message. We need to hammer that message home, and almost the ignorance of many of anything that the opposition could raise. They want to talk about, they want to talk about military might, military power. That's great. But if you don't have healthy individuals, who are you going to send to fight? It turns it right back around and makes the core issue universal health care, or safer streets, or homelessness, or jobs in the economy. But no matter what the response is, no matter what the attack is, ignore the attack, turn that entire conversation right back to the 2, 3, or 4 core messages, and go from there. Because we don't want, if we respond to an external challenge like that, we're giving that challenge credibility, whether we like it or not. Oh, in the viewer's mind, the viewer says, well, they responded to that military question. That must be an issue. Oh, they responded to that X, Y, and Z question. That must be an issue. It's not an issue. It's our issues and our issues only. So we need to keep turning around every attack, bringing it right back to the core nuts and bolts of our core issues, and go right from there. And P.S., by the way, that frustrates the hell out of the people who are attacking you, and they begin to sound even more ridiculous.
And this works so famously. I think we talked about how George W. Bush launched a rumor against John McCain that he liked dating other men. There was no truth to that. McCain made the mistake of constantly addressing it. Mm-hmm. And then that became an issue, and he was seen talking about it so much, people were like, well, are you or are you not? Or I don't know what's going on here. So, and for everybody at home, you don't have to pick the 3 BAMs that we have here, or 4. What's important is that you pick 3 or 4, no more than 4 issues, and you frame them that way. This can never happen, period, without CalExit. Not it's likely to or whatever. It can never happen without CalExit. And anybody who's opposed to CalExit is opposed to that issue being fixed. So healthcare, gun safety, ending homelessness, they can only happen with CalExit. If you're against CalExit, you don't care about children and gun safety. You don't care about homeless. You don't care about people being denied healthcare. Go on the attack instead of the rebut, so that you're really not giving any credence or ammo to the other side. And then the public who's watching this from the outside looking in is going to go, I guess those aren't really issues. And they only talk about these 3 things. So I guess maybe that's all that's important.
Like I said, it's every candidate, every campaign who tries to be everybody's everything ends up nothing. You have to maintain these core issues and just hammer those core issues home until you hear them in your sleep.
Yeah. So let's move on to this. Let me go to the first one. Okay, so we had talked about messaging for each group, strategic micro-targeted messaging. This really excited me. I liked your strategic communication plan. And all for you people there, that's what a communication plan is supposed to look like. So we've been at this for years, guessing. We're actually talking to an expert. They actually put something together. That's what it looks like. Anybody could use that. We're definitely going to be using that at calixnow.org because we love, talking like this. Now we're going to cover some micro-targeting groups. It'll be relatively fast and painless. Latino, Hispanic, Californians. Keep families together through immigration fairness. Strength through culture. Recognize, respect, celebrate Latino heritage. Dreams without borders. Every Californians deserve opportunity regardless of birthplace. That's a great tagline. African American Californians. Justice isn't optional.
I love that one, by the way.
That's pretty great. Commit fully to police accountability. Respect Black voices. Real inclusion means listening, respecting, and elevating African American communities statewide. Legacy matters now. Ensure equitable access to opportunities that strengthen intergenerational wealth. That's a great phrase. Asian American Pacific Islanders. Visibility means safety. Brilliant. Stand clearly and firmly against hate crimes and racism. Diverse roots, united future. California strength comes from respecting Asian Pacific Islander traditions, histories. Our heritage, our strength. Support culturally responsive services, bilingual resources, inclusive community programs, LGBTQ. Equality without exception. Awesome. Full legal protections against discrimination. No exceptions. Pride lives here. Brilliant. Celebrate and protect LGBTQ spaces, voices, histories. Love fuels progress. Policies rooted in acceptance. So I think these are self-explanatory. They kind of say what you're reaching out and what a tagline would be. I don't disagree with any of this. It looks all good.
And the other thing that this approach demonstrates to a broad base of the electorate is that it doesn't matter who you are, what you want to be when you grow up. There's a place for you here. And it's already been made up. All you have to do is come home. Come home with us. Together, we'll build a better future for all of us.
That's another one right there. He just came up with that right now. You saw him do it. So this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. Here's the next one. Young voters, the future starts today. Immediate climate action, immediate affordable education, economic opportunity. That'll be big. Rewrite the rules, challenge. They'll love that phrase. Voice your vision, amplify the youth vote, ensure California's lead decision-making processes. Seniors and retirees, secure your legacy. Nice. Protect pensions. All right. Respect earned daily, provide dignified senior housing. That's good. Golden years guaranteed. Great phrasing. Stability in retirement through healthcare, which can only happen with California. Financial security, only happen with CalExit. Small business owners, growth without limits. Eliminate bureaucratic hurdles. Perfect. Simplify taxation. True. Expand small business lending. Yes. Local first, always. That's brilliant. They'll love that. Prioritize local owned business through policies. Fairness means freedom. Ensure equal opportunity for small business growth. Environmentalists, climate change advocates, protect California's tomorrow. That's great. Prioritize aggressive climate policies. Nature sets the rules. Acknowledge environmental science. Climate isn't optional. Love the phrasing. Immediate action on emissions, renewable infrastructure, ecological sustainability. Comments?
I want to make a comment just on one point. Sections 5 and 6, the younger voters and the seniors and retirees. I truly believe that when we get really into the middle of the mix here, I think we're going to be able to draw some of that senior and retiree vote. I didn't think that a little while ago, but again, after the Marines were deployed, I think you're going to have retiree veterans who recognize that was an improper use of the military, an unlawful use and an unconstitutional use of the military, and I think we'll be able to draw in from that particular demographic. But with young voters, many campaigns that win where no one expected them to win are the result of bringing in first-time voters and irregular voters. And I can tell you, the classes that I teach right now in the American federal government, 4 years ago, I never would have even thought of posing this as a possibility to 18 and 19-year-olds. But I have posed it to the class I'm teaching at present. and I have full-time residents of California in my class who have already gone to their own parents and talked this up. So we're going to be successful, I believe, in getting many new voters, many irregular voters. And if you package that up with all of the target demographic groups that are on this list, again, it should be a laydown winner.
Labor and union members, solidarity builds strength, protect collective bargaining rights. I really like that. California is the last union stronghold. Almost all of America used to be. It's been wiped out. I've pointed out to some union members, like, what do you mean you think unions are going to come back in America? They've been decimated in every state. We're the last place. If you want them to stay intact, you better be pursuing independence, because whoever kicked them out of 49 other states is coming for us next. That's very clear. Respect every worker. Rights on the job. Great phrasing. Faith in interfaith communities. Oh, nice. United in compassion. Great phrasing. Policies rooted in charity, poverty alleviation, which we talk about, community-driven social services. Values lead change. I love that. Moral leadership in areas of social justice, immigration, and healthcare. Brilliant. The things that we're providing.
Exactly.
Faith in action. Support religious freedom, interfaith dialogue, compassionate policymaking. Women and women's rights advocates. Equality means everyone. Brilliant phrasing. Voice, choice, power. Perfect. Full representation. Reproductive rights guaranteed. We could absolutely do that here. Rights, not requests. Strong enforcements against discrimination. That's brilliant. Wow, that was really well targeted for them. Great phrasing. Rural small town Californians, rural roots, strong voices, invest in rural healthcare, infrastructure. Yeah, broadband is a huge issue. It's not here. We can absolutely implement that if we weren't losing $85 billion to 120. Our towns matter. That's nice. Respect rural California. That's great phrasing. If CalEx had said that, they would love to see that. Policies reflect rural values, agricultural sustainability. One of the things that we said is an independent California means 5,000% more growth for the ag industry. So 2/3 of the world population is going to be in Asia. There is no Mediterranean climate that can grow the crops that we do in that entire section. They have to come here. We're the largest Mediterranean climate outside of Europe. We produce a lot of the fruits and vegetables. So instead of having our trade deals held up to Asian countries for 5 to 10 years like Barack Obama and George W. Bush did, if we could just sell fruit and produce to India and China. And here's the thing, basic economics, people, we can only produce so many grapes, but the population of Asia is going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, and they love things like grapes. That means the price of grapes goes up by the growth in population. So as they get 100% bigger, 200% bigger, the price of grapes will go up to 300% more for the same product because the demand is higher. And we could be selling to those customers, which is where the majority of the global economy will be now and in the future. Or we could be forced to wait 5 to 10 years to make any deal, and we could constantly have trade wars with China. So, okay, I love that. 13, Central Valley farmers feeding California's future, secure water rights. Absolutely. Water means life. They will love that phrase. That's 100%. Guaranteed water access. Absolutely. Farmers deserve fairness. Protect small farmers. That's brilliant. Immigrant and refugee committees. Every story matters. Love that. Fair immigration reform. Like I was telling somebody, we'd have immigration reform within months here in California. It's taken America 45 years since their last try. We can't afford to push it off if it was allowed to us. A huge part of our population is undocumented. So we don't have the ability to just push it off and wait forever like America does. Welcomed, not feared. Wow, that's good. That's really good. Proactive anti-discrimination measures, language access. Home without limits, equitable housing. That's good. Student and campus groups, knowledge empowers change. Affordable tuition absolutely would be provided with CalExit. No debt, just dreams. Bold action on student loan. Again, that could be provided with CalExit. California did that before. We could easily do that if we weren't wasting $84 to $82 billion every year. Campus voices count. Teachers and school staff invest in education. Oh, they'll love that. Respect in the classroom. That'll definitely be something teachers love to hear. Smaller class sizes, right? Because if we have more money to buffer the budget and we don't have to raise taxes, you can put more into education and reduce class size and pay teachers more. Absolutely. Teaching is essential. Elevate teaching through robust. Yeah, that's brilliant. 2, 5, 9.
And Marcus, if I can jump in for 1 second,
Yeah.
What these couple of pages that we're looking at, what that does is it eliminates the need for a website that has 25 white papers on it, because if you notice, each one of these groups, there are several buzz phrases there that all of which could fit on a bumper sticker, all of which could fit on a campaign button, and the minute that the people start to see those things, they're not going to stop and say, yeah, but what does every story matter really mean? Because the words themselves tell you what it means, and you don't have to go into a long, drawn out discussion at somebody's front door or in a shopping mall or during a debate. Or you already have you have to give prospective voters just enough to get them to put down the game controller or put down the box of caramels, get off the couch and get the car and go out and vote. And what I think all of these things do, just those buzz phrases in every demographic that we've covered so far, are enough to get that person to put the gaming controller down, put the bonbons down, and head out and cast a vote. You don't need anything really more than for the average voter, anything more than that buzz phrase. If you have somebody who's sitting on the fence and you want to get into it a little bit with them and give them more detail, that's fine. But somebody who is willing to put a bumper sticker on or wear a button that says grow without limits, rewrite the rules. You've already got that person. You don't need that person. You don't need that person to marry into your concept. You just need to go out on a date with them.
Fair enough. All right. I told everybody to be relatively quick. We're winding down. Let me find. There we go. Here's the last part. Healthcare professionals protect those who heal. Wow, that's good. Caregivers deserve care. That's fantastic. Mental health support, fair compensation. I know a lot of them got used with COVID. They have a bad taste in their mouth from that. Front lines need backup. That's really good. Increased investment in hospitals, which we could say we could do with CalExit and would never happen without CalExit. People with disabilities, access equals respect. Barrier-free California. Nothing about us without us. That's excellent. Nothing about it. Protect participants and disabled persons. Yes. Indigenous Californians. That's awesome. Sovereignty means respect. Great recognition of tribal self-governance. California is doing a lot of good work at the forefront. Honor our heritage. That's good. Protect tribal lands. Protect tribal lands is really going to be hot. There's a lot of sacred places to the tribes here that they want access to that aren't on their reservation, and they don't really have legal access to them, and they'll never get it as long as the federal government's around, because the federal government just goes, here's your reservation, shut up, that's it. You get some money, that's all you get. You don't get access to this little point here or this stream or this rock here. That sort of cultural sensitivity only really is concerning Californians. It's not at the federal level. So you'll never get the access to your cultural sites that you deserve while we're still part of the federal system. Finally, creative and cultural workers. Creativity powers California. Brilliant. Funding incentives for artistic innovation. Absolutely could do, again, without losing $82 billion. Respect the arts. And culture drives progress. Investment in arts education, which we could do. We could invest more in education if we were independent. Blah, blah, blah. So thoughts, feelings on this last part?
I think that every group there is as important as every other group to this movement. And my goal in putting this plan together was to make sure that every group understood that we care as a movement as much about Central Valley farmers and ag workers as we do young people, as we do faith and interfaith communities. No one is going to be able to look at that, at this overall program, and say, "Hey, what about me?" because we basically covered everybody, and we've covered everybody in a way that will allow them to conclude on their own that there's only one answer to this question, and it's independence.
Dr. X was the only other person besides you that I saw as much focus on that. We had always been doing general messaging, 90-10, 10% intellectuals, 90% in general. He actually made industry specific pages and put them up on the website. So if you're this industry, how this benefits you. And if you're that industry, we hadn't even thought to do that, but this targeted messaging allows us to, like you said, everybody's included. We speak to everybody. And then we can do the coalition building, which is the idea of this. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets something, so all of you should work together to achieve CalExit. I think it's the big idea here, the big money idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Winding down. I got a meeting at 7. You're welcome to join if you want. I'll send you a link. But any final comments on strategic messaging for everybody? High level.
I think that again, the single most critical execution portion of any strategic messaging plan is to make certain that you're not shooting yourself in the foot with any word that comes out of your mouth. If our messaging is tailored from the beginning, we know what the BAMs are. We reinforce them at every opportunity. We use the micro targeting to attract all of the groups that were represented on the plan that we put out. You have to create a strategic messaging plan where if someone wants to attack you on any aspect of it, they have to really, really, really work and find something that just fits in one little attack ad that they're putting together. And again, if we execute this plan in its entirety, as I've laid it out here, anybody who attacks us at any time, regardless of venue or platform or medium, they're going to look stupid. If you're attacking us, for example, who is going to say, no, we shouldn't look out for rural people, rural Americans, rural Californians. No, we shouldn't take care of the Central Valley farmers. No, we shouldn't do anything to support retirees and small businesses. If we've created an overall messaging plan that if you attack it in any way, you sound like the bad guy. If you attack it in any way, you have to then justify what you just said, not what you're attacking at that stage of the game. So I think that the closing comment here should be, once the final strategic messaging plan is adopted, throw every other note that you ever took into the nearest trash can, because we simply need to do one thing and one thing only, and that is reinforce, because the plan itself is a winner.
We've been fighting this like 1960s election cycle, full debates and, like Nixon and Kennedy. And then when you came on, you were saying, no, just attack. And then if they attack, you attack them. You don't even address what they're saying. And I go, don't address it? Yeah. And basically it came down to, Mark, this is how it's done, right? This is how elections are won. Maybe if we traveled back in time to an earlier period, but at least since Bush in 2001, this is how it's done. This is how it's been done by multiple Democrats, multiple people in the other party, year after year for more than 20 decades. Right or wrong, this is it. This is how it's done. So anybody that wants CalExit, don't be an intellectual purist. This is how we win.
And with this particular plan here, if you get somebody coming at you and saying, well, what about this issue? And then you respond by bringing it back to our own message. And their response is, you didn't answer my question. And the response to that is, because you're asking all the wrong questions. You're not answering.
See what's going on? You see that? This is why I wanted people to get this, because we've been thinking this is a radical concept. I need to show you that I'm not radical by addressing every single thing. And the philosophy you're coming at is scratch all that. You pick 3 attack angles and then you just keep pounding
over and over and over again. And sadly, not sadly, ironically, I should say, there was a movie back in I think the 70s or 80s called Crazy People with Dudley Moore. where Dudley Moore was an advertising executive who went nuts and ended up in an asylum, and he turned the residents of the asylum into ad men. And there was a line that in that movie that goes something along the lines of, we're not trying to sell people on the merits of this particular product. We just need to drill our message into them, into the public, until there's no way that they can possibly avoid it. And if this message, if all of these messages, these targeted messages, got out to these individual groups all over the state while the main message was playing, again, it's going to be one of those things where you run into somebody in the shopping mall and they happen to be in one of these particular demographic groups that we've targeted. They're talking to each other about Cal Exit, but talking on two different planes because they're two different groups and we've targeted them two different ways. But it all comes like we always bring any attack back to our message. These people who are in the individual targeted demographics, they're going to talk about their issue, but they'll hear about the other group's issue. They'll relate to that, and their bond with the overall movement will become strong. If you have 6 people in a room and one says, I like the Cal Exit movement for this reason, I like the Cal Exit movement for that reason, I like the Cal Exit movement for this reason. By the time you get around to all 6, you begin to understand the other group's reason. And the reasons all come together, and you've now cultivated a family atmosphere, which is exactly the atmosphere that we want to create in a sovereign California.
Right. Okay, we'll leave it there. Got to run off to another meeting here. Thank you for coming out. I'll call you a little bit later. I really appreciate it. We'll have more for everybody, but I wanted you guys to keep getting this information as it comes out. And so you can watch the other videos and message. You can watch this one so everybody can learn or follow along. We got the information. I want to make sure everybody can see it. I think we're going to be the group that does the best working on this, but I didn't want to hog all the info. So let me go, and I'll call you back in a little bit.
Fantastic. Take care.